What up? It's your boy, the Incredible Man, and yes, I am back at it again. And this is Black Clover episode 115. And look at all of the excitement all over my face. I've been up ever since maybe like 2, 1, 3. Anyway, whenever, because I was waiting on this episode, and it normally drops at like 4 or 5 in the morning, but it didn't drop like that this morning. They waited till doggone 8 o'clock or like 7:30 or whatever to drop it. So I was pissed that they didn't show it. But when they showed it, oh boy, it was so great. It was so much greatness. I've been waiting. You guys just don't know, man, how long I've been waiting to talk about the demon in Black Clover, because I didn't want to spoil anything for non-manga readers, and he's finally here, and I can talk about it. And oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, let's be real. To my manga readers, tell me he looked more creepier in the anime than he did in the manga. In the manga, he looked pretty creepy. He looked pretty creepy. But in the anime, with his voice actor and the way that they kept like the darkness around him moving and kept it animated, and the way he kept smiling and his eye color and everything, and the detail to his character design, he looked way more creepier in the anime than he did in the manga. Now, I mean, no backlash against the manga, because the manga done a great job in representing him. But he looked way creepier in the anime to me. It may have just been me, but he just looked way creepier. Now, I may get a lot of slack for this, but honestly, I really like the animation style that they're going in, and I'm hoping they stick with this animation style like throughout the rest of the series. It looks fine to me. It's detailed around the characters a lot more, and they seem to be very, very detailed, like on their faces and on their bodies on certain scenes and everything. And then some scenes, like when they pan out and they do kind of like a wide shot or something, they're a little off, but that's a wide shot. But like when they're close up and they're having some of the action sequences and stuff, they're detailed very, very nicely. So I'm really enjoying the animation style in this in these last couple episodes, and I like this art style, and I'm hoping they stick with this one, because I'm really, really enjoying it. But now let's get into the episode, man, because I've been waiting forever to talk about the demon, and he's finally here. Okay, so this episode picked up right after last week's episode, and we have Raya kind of going through his emotions, because he knew that what is dude's name? Oh man, I can't remember. Anyway, he knew that he was lying, because Raya can tell. And boom, dude just tore a hole through his whole abdomen. All of that is just gone. It's a big hole. And he's going through the motions in his head. It's like, well, who is he and why is this happening? And then like before he pretty much loses consciousness, he realizes that he's not who he said he is, and I know you, or something like that, if you get what I'm saying. He was like, you seem kind of similar, if you catch my drift. And then he takes over dude's body, sits the stone down, because as you remember, he took the stone from Yuno, and he placed the stone inside the little magic circle, and poof, this big black ooey gooey stuff pops up, and then his soul leaves that dude's body and transfers over to the ooey gooey blackness. And then poof, out comes the demon. And he looks super creepy, but it was awesome at the same time. And honestly, what I loved about this whole episode is the way, because we knew he was set up, like the demon was set up like countless times, and they even showed that he's the one that led this whole thing into fruition. Padre thought it was him and thought he was doing something, and thought Lick Heck set it all up in motion for them to be revived, and he thought he was helping Licked out. But it was the demon that set everything in motion, and it was so... Black Clover right now, and like on forward into like where we are in the manga as well and everything right now, like from where we at in this episode now, all of the other episodes were great. They were good. It was wonderful. Like I had plenty of other episodes that I enjoyed in certain fight sequences, and you guys know that I love a bunch of the other episodes that we've seen. But this episode was so good. We got a dark elf, and the demon turning Patry into a dark elf. We got the demon himself, and if you guys didn't catch it, now I'm hoping everybody caught it, but the demon even mentioned that the demon in Asta's book, in Asta's grimoire, There's so much. There was so much, and I've been so hyped to talk about this for so long because I didn't want to spoil it for anime only watchers. But yeah, man, there was a lot of information that popped out with the demon just telling everything from the jump. He was going into all of the detailed explanation of how he's been waiting 500 years to do this. He had it set up last time, but it didn't quite go his way. So he tried it again, and this time it's pretty much seeming like it's gonna go his way. And he fueled their hatred and turned it into something warped and everything. And it's so good. Black Clover right now is on the precipice of pure greatness, man. I know I said that a lot about a lot of anime and a lot of scenes and a lot of stuff because I know I just recently said it with Villain Saga, but it's so true, man. It's so evident because this is. We were stuck in a world with Black Clover where we were just dealing with the magic people, and now in this whole just the people of the kingdom, if you get what I'm saying. But now we're in this whole other world. We have demons. We know that there's dwarves, elves, a dark elf. There's so in this arc alone, it expanded the whole thing of Black Clover. It expanded the whole world of Black Clover. That's crazy. That's freaking crazy, man, and I love it. But yeah, then we have this whole episode of him going through his whole explanation and telling Patry why he done what he did and that their revenge wasn't anything. He set this all in motion. And in that moment, he grabbed Patry and attacked Patry. And while we're going through all of that, we get to see his magic. It's kind of like the word soul magic or whatever. Like, so whatever he speaks, it comes into reality. Like if he says, come here, he made Patry come to him. Patry was using the light whip. He said disappear, it disappeared. He got hurt and injured and cut, heal. So whatever he speaks comes into fruition from his magic. And that is so cool at the same time. Too bad he's such a bad guy, man. He's such a bad guy. And he hurt the elves and he's hurting the people of the village that we love in the kingdom that we love. So but his power is cool. You gotta admit his power is all kinds of cool. But like I said, and when he's torturing Patry, he breaks Patry's mind. He's telling Patry that none of this, everything that you done was straight. It was all me from jump. I put this in your mind and I set this all in motion, and Patry's mind just snaps. And when he snaps like that, he goes into despair. And he in this episode, he was telling us that once someone or an elf or whatever goes into despair, or it may work for a human too, I don't know. But anyway, once the elf goes into despair, out pops that fifth clover, and that's when he can like obtain the book, because otherwise he couldn't really obtain it. And in that fifth clover lies a demon. You guys get how awesome this episode was, and there's been so much stuff that I wanted to talk about with you guys, but I couldn't because my anime only watchers didn't. Oh boy. But I don't tell people to read the manga often. I mean, because that may not be their thing, and some people don't like to be surprised or ruined for when they're watching something. But I'm telling you guys, Black Clover is like where we're at now in the anime and where we're at in the manga. It is definitely worth reading just to check out and see what's happening in this crazy world that's known as Black Clover, man. So in that whole time span, while Patry's mind has snapped, he tells him to sink further into despair, and he turns Patry into a dark elf. This is the very first dark elf. That's crazy, man. Oh, it's so crazy. And he looks cool. You gotta admit, Patry looks cool. Now, with all of the information set aside, we get to the meat. And this is where the action kicks in. Because in that whole time and everything's taking place, it's like, well, he can tell that he can't beat this dude on his own. But he senses Asta and Mimosa coming down, and he was like, Asta, you're late. But he's like, I'm here. So then we get into the action of this episode, and it was absolutely boss, man. They were going back and forth. Asta and Yuno teamed up. They were tag teaming, and they were trying to combat dude. And it really wasn't quite doing their thing because they aren't quite strong enough yet to deal with this dude. And then at the time, the dude turns Patry into the dark elf, and now they have to combat Patry, and he's on his way exiting the the bottom or whatever cavern or pit, whatever they're in. He's trying to exit, and we know that he's probably going to run in contact with some of the other people. But he's leaving that particular place and left them to deal with Patry. And Patry is going straight ham. Ashley and are they bulked up. They're stronger than they were when we first were introduced to them and during the Magic Knight squad games and everything. They're stronger, but Patry is laying the smack down on these guys, man, and everything that they're doing is really not working, but the animation was so good in those scenes, like the close-up shots, the using the mana zone as they use it was so great, and just the look of Patry looked so cool. It was so epic. And then their whole fight is going in, and Patry was finna release his ultimate magic move that he released in the cave a bunch of episodes back, and Asta was like, "Oh, I know that move," and then it goes off. But also we have Radis and the other guy just sitting down there in another part of the hole. They're just sitting back there relaxing. And Jalax's like, "No, yeah, I don't know what is going on, but it looks like Patry was used as well." These dudes are terrified, and rightfully so, man. This demon is not playing. His magic is on another level and on another scale, and they aren't moving at all. These dudes are like, "No, I'm not going anywhere, man." And we also have Raya kind of waking up, getting glimpses, and also being worried about Patry. And we have Mimosa just on looking and worried about Aston, But like I said, man, the whole fight sequence, that's what it was. It was information, and then we just jumped straight into a fight sequence, and both parts was absolutely wonderful. And I've been waiting to talk about this for so long. The demon is finally here. Finally. This is what incredible, man. Don't forget to smash the like button so you can't smash it anymore. Comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them and subscribe. But only if you really want to, man. And remember that anime matters. Anime is greatness. And anime is life. And Black Clover done it again. Peace out, man.